Good morning. We will continue the next section. So let's do the recap, right? What we have done yesterday. Yesterday was the project setup. In yesterday class, we did project setup. We added the navigation bar. During the project setup, right, we learn how to set up our or configure our Visual Studio Code, correct? We install a couple of packages like Prettier and few others, right? So let's quickly go through the documentation here. So we're gonna work on this creating issues, okay? This section today. Setting up the database, setting up Prisma, creating issue models, building an API, setting up the Redux UI, and then building new issue page, right? So we're gonna work from 1 till 5 or 6 in this section. So let's continue. The first one is setting up the database PostgreSQL. So we have done that one last during our database class. If someone has not installed, just install the Postgres in your computer so that right you will be able to access the local development environment, or basically you will be able to access the Postgres SQL engine, right, where you're gonna add the database. How you gonna access? You need password and the port, right? So let's see how we're gonna do that. I mean, for installation, remember the last time, right? If you go back here in your GitHub, database. Okay, if you go to the database, you should find right the class for Postgres setup. Okay, installation of Postgres. Just go through here and install the database right in your local machine. Okay. All right. So let's go back. If you still have some issue, for installation, let me know. But I believe everyone has done that, so it should be fine. So I will run this project now. npm run dev live view. So this is the route, localhost 3000. 3000 is the port, right, in which our local server is running. So now just look at here. This is what we have done yesterday, right? Dashboard. I mean dashboard navigation. During in our navigation, you can see dashboard and issue, right? These are the two routes we have added. So it will go to the dashboard folder in the app. Inside the app, there is a dashboard folder, and issues. It will go to the issues view, right? That's how we have structured our route. Let's go back here and check now. Inside the app, this is a dashboard. So when you click on dashboard, localhost slash is the app, right? Slash is the root route that is indicating to the app. Inside app slash dashboard and the page. Inside the app slash issues slash view, and inside there is a page, right? So that's how you add the route. Okay, so now let's move on, right? Let's move on to the next phase. So setting up the Prisma database SQL, right? Install Postgres SQL in your computer. Make sure to get password and port, right? You can do that, and this will be the string to connect to your local database. Okay, All right, so this will be the this is the string which will make a connection to our database. Okay, so see the localhost, and this is the port. You need to put the password here, right? Your password of your database. This is the Postgres, right? Postgres database. You need a password. Then you have the server, right? Localhost, then port. The database, see, basically this is the name of your, see, this will be the user, right? Postgres is basically user. When you create when you install the Postgres, the Postgres is the default username. Okay, you can change also, right? You can change that with using some command, but let's not go there right now. Okay, just use this user, the default user. It will ask you to add the password, so you must remember that password. Okay, and the port, right? With that, uh, you should be able to create a new database. So here I'm just going to add this fixed issue, right? That should be my new database. Okay, or I will change, I mean, I can change, I will just make it something new, doesn't matter. So this I'm gonna need later, right? Next one is setting up the Prisma. Okay, so how you can do that? Let's start from there. So until now, basically we have done nothing. Okay, whatever we did in the study class is the same, right? The only thing is yesterday was setting up the project and adding the navbar, right? That is all. So make sure you write this in the paper 10 times. Understand each line of code. Right? Basically, just memorizing this whole thing. That's the first step. Next one is, now we can install the Prisma, right? So npm install Prisma. That's the first command you will run. Basically, first package to install the Prisma, right? Or let's say Prisma package you can install by running npm install Prisma. Done. Until now, nothing happened, right? But this command npx Prisma init. So this will initialize the Prisma, right, in our project. First is installing the Prisma. Second, making the use of Prisma, right? For that, you're gonna run npx Prisma init, initializing the Prisma. Okay. After running this command, right, you will get folder called Prisma and .env file. So when you install the Prisma, right, it come with a default, basically some default, you know, string for the connection to Prisma, right? So you can see there the username is this John Doe. This is the random password. There is a local host port 543 and database, right? So when you initialize Prisma, it will give you automatic. This name, right? This name, I can delete this. I don't need that. Let's delete that. This name is basically, it act like a variable, right? And if I go back to my Prisma folder, the schema, right? Schema.prisma, and you'll see here the from environment variable it is reading this name. So that string, okay, the string, this one, right, is exactly passed to this to this URL. This whole thing is equal to this string. So maybe you're asking why you put here in the environment, because, right, you don't want to expose your expose your secret information for your database to the outside world, right? You don't want to expose. You just stored in environment variable, and you just call this variable name, right? Even in your GitHub, you don't want to send this file, okay? So that's why go to your git ignore, right, and add here .env, okay? So .env file will be ignored, right, in the commit, okay? When you commit, or basically when you adding, right, to your commit, it will be ignored, so that it is not, you're not going to see this in the GitHub. Okay guys, let me pause here for now. All right, so let's continue. So we added this .env file. I hope I was here earlier, right? I have to go out, just to take care of something. So we have done this part, setting up Prisma, right? So we install this one, npx Prisma init. Now you will see the changes in your project, right? It will create Prisma folder and add a schema Prisma file inside that folder. So we have seen that one. In the schema Prisma, right, you will see this code. Basically, this will be your database URL. Here is the provider, right? Which engine of database you are using. So in our case is the Postgres SQL. So Postgres SQL, let's check now. Postgres SQL. If this is something else in your case, then you make sure you type Postgres and click here, right? SQL. That is all you have to do. Now, env file. So let's change in env file, right? What I will do is I'm just going to copy this one because this is the setup for my database. I'll just delete that. Add this, right? Postgres SQL. So that is the user. I don't have the new user, right? I'm just using that one for now. Postgres. Oh, sorry. This is the engine. Postgres SQL is the engine. Postgres is the user, right? Password will be, I believe, I don't know. I believe that is what I have added. I'm not sure. Let me check it. So I have from the last time, right? Yeah. So this is the password of my database, and that's the port, right? 5433. So 5433. You can add anything, just put here. Issue maybe tracker, right? Something like that. So done. This is all we need, right? Connect. So what we did, we installed the Postgres, we added npx Prisma init, and then we make this, just select the provider here, that is Postgres. Then in env file you add your link, right, to connect the database. So in your case, you just put your password, then you put the right or correct port, right? That will be 5432 or 5433. Take that one and add here. Change your database, just add database name, and done. So we're done with the database setup. Let's commit now. Git add commit -m, and we call it setup database, and git push, or we can call it setup database and Prisma, right? Setup Prisma or something. So what is the next step now? Creating the issue model, right? So I'll just, next time I'll call it creating issue model, okay? So in the creating issue model, what we're gonna git ignore and all that, I will close now. Creating issue model, okay? What is model, right? So model is basically the database schema, like the blueprint for your database. So my database will be something like this, right? uh, I'm gonna have let's delete all this, right? I don't need to clean up, reset my Canva. Yeah, so it should be something like this. What I want to display is, that is what I need to add in my database. So it should be, let's call it here ID. I'm going to need ID. So that will be default, right? Title, description, description. Then I will need title of the issue, description, then status, right? Yeah, status, created ad, updated ad. Okay, so that is all I need, right? So how I'm going to create the blueprint for this? How, you know that blueprint is the column, right? We are creating. Remember, in I show you before, in database you're going to have column like this, right? So this will be the ID. Here is ID. Then you're going to have title. Then you're going to have description. Similarly, you're going to have status, and you're going to have the created ad, updated ad, right? All that columns here. So this blueprint maps to this column. Okay, so when you send data, right, some are default, so it will add the data value automatically. So the row one, maybe this is a row one, and you're gonna add title and all that, right? Every time you insert, it's gonna fill out this field. Okay, it will be keep filling, right? Row two, three, four, like. So how we gonna create the schema, right, for this table? So in schema file, Prisma schema, what you will do is model. You just call it model and name of the model. So that will be issue, right, like that. Just make it small sorry, first character capital with no s. Okay, just keep it like that. So my model, right, my model need ID. That will be integer or maybe string. So let's make it a string, right? I will add a string, that's fine. Then you can tell it what is this, right? This is a ID. So you can see here ID, right? So ID means unique value. ID. Okay, in the school, in a classroom, student has unique ID, right? Okay, next will be how you gonna add unique ID. So that is a default value. Just call the default parameter, and just add like u uuid will be, this is the function, right, built inside the Prisma. Okay, or this is also the npm package, but Prisma will, Prisma basically use this uuid, right, and automatically create the unique ID inside this column. Done. Next is title. So title will be string, and string, right? Then you can add the data length. So db data length dot. Also you can define that what kind of data you're going to store in this title. So that is varchar, and it has maximum 255 character. Max character length will be 255, but I just need maybe 50 out of that. Okay. Next is description. Description, right? description. Okay. Description, that is also a string, and in description the type of data will be, let's make it text, because CUUID you can see here, right? Text, because maybe text you want to add like long description, right? So I believe it has like 6,600 something character, okay, in the text. Okay, so we got description. Now I need status, right? Status. So remember, status gonna have the value that will be like open. Either you're gonna have open, or you're gonna have closed, or in progress, right? So how you gonna choose, like, out of three? How you gonna get one? So for that reason, we have something special, functionality, right? Or something special. Let's call it object called enum. Enum. So enum will let you define the options. Okay, like you define the options here, and that is what you're going to use, right? So the first one is open. Just put it like this in capital. So you have to give the name of your enum also, right? So what kind of data? Remember, we have a string and all that you define here. So enum defines your own type. Okay, so this will be, let's call it status, like that. This is open, in progress, closed. Okay, so here my type of data is status, right? And then I'm going to select the default, right? Because when I insert the data, that data is open. So when I click O now, you see that it will give me the option because I'm calling my type from here, right? Status. Okay, this is the status. So it has three things: in progress, close, right? So every time I'm going to call this status, I will get these three options. So I choose one of them, right? Even later when you update the status, you have these three options available. You just choose where you want to, which one you want to add, or which one you want to make change to your status column, right? So in this column, one of them will be there, right? Open, in progress, and close. You cannot add anything else, right? Either one of these three will be here. So it's just same like this, right? I mean, same thing in it. You're just creating the column and ID, title, description, status here, right? Status. So if this is status, like this, right? Your data, when you add data, okay, when you add one, let's say this is enum, maybe not enum, but the ID, right? Title here, description here, status. In the beginning, it will be open. It will be just like this, open, because that is default. But later you can choose like from the UI, right, from your browser. Later you will be your program will let you let you change that status, right? So it will be maybe in progress because you assign to someone, right? So you can change to in progress, like that. So when you're done, right, that will be closed. So status, that means this work is completed and it's closed now. So all the issue, you can update there. So now you're going to have the created ad and updated ad field also, right? Updated. So let's add that one. Go back here. Now is done it capital. Just make sure these names are small letter, right? Created ad, and this is the date time, right? That's the data type, and the default, we call the default now. So whenever you're creating, that time and date will be inserted. Update also, right? Update date ad, and that is also date time, and at the rate, there is updated ad type. Okay, basically this will add the, whenever you update, it will add that value. So create means when you created the first time, right? And update means every time you make change, this value will change. Okay, so that's it. I mean, that is the model, right, for our issue table. Table means now you're gonna have this column: ID, title, description, status, created ad, updated ad. Okay, So that is done. Let's see here. So we just finished creating model, right? Done. So we're gonna do the git add commit test. Okay, one thing I miss. So let's see. When we create the model, right? Once you create the model, we need to, like basically let the Prisma, right, establish the connection. Let this table sync with the database. Okay. So how are we gonna do that? So for that, npx Prisma migrate, right? Migrate npx Prisma migrate migrate development and dev. Okay. So see, it will ask you, right? We need to restart public schema at localhost. Yes, and just give the name, right? So maybe initial, right? Just initial, maybe schema or initial issue. So it just created this migration file, right? And here inside this, you will see the SQL command. Okay, create table, issue, then ID, title, description. All these things are added, right? This is the structure query language commands. Okay, so the create type is status. The type of the our enum is status. There is open, in progress, close, all that. So it just automatically convert to our database. So now, once we have done that, npx Prisma migrate, you can do, and you can also run npx Prisma, uh, or we should have, okay, so we have migrate first time, right? That is okay. We created the migration. Npx Prisma generate, right? Generate dev. Npx Prisma db generate, I believe, db database generate. Npx Prisma generate dev. Let's see. Yeah, so it just generated Prisma client. Okay. But what we will do is we're gonna add our own Prisma client, right? It's okay. It generated basically. See, by doing this, right? Npx Prisma generate dev, by running that command. So the Prisma client is created, right? Prisma client from Prisma client, right? Cons new Prisma client. These are created already. Okay, somewhere it created, right? I think it added to somewhere inside this node module, right? It just added here Prisma client, right? Okay, but we're not gonna, I mean, you can use from here also, but what we will do is we're just gonna add in our own uh, file, right? So let me copy this, and what you can do is just install, right? npm install @Prisma client. Do that. Done. Now we will create the Prisma client inside here. So better will be, right, let's add a client.ts. Okay, to get a Prisma client working file, right, we check here now Prisma. Let's go back here. What is that? Prisma. Prisma, what is that? Prisma Next.js client, right? Best practices, okay? So now, yeah, so we just copy this one, okay? This is the first one and put it here, right? So see what this does, right? Remember, even with the MongoDB, you install Mongoose. That was the Mongoose was the client, you know, who handles our communication with the database and the Prisma schema, like a middleman, right? It should be something like this. Let's say you have the Prisma client here, Prisma client, right? For example, client, okay? This is your database. You have schema now. You have schema also, right? No, we have the schema, correct? Here is schema, which is the blueprint of your database, right? The table, okay? So that is schema. Schema is the blueprint of your table. So right now we just have issue, right? Issue schema, okay? So that schema will create the table here. It will create a table, right? Table like this issue schema, and then you're going to store data here, right? It's going to have ID and all that, and basically that's what happened, right? So the Prisma client we just use, right? Client, that client will map this schema and then check here also, right? In your issue table. So when you inserting something, all the value, right, will be added like ID, title, description, whatever inside your table. This schema will do the job, okay? This sorry, the Prisma client will do the job, right? Sending data to the table, getting data from the out from the table, update. When you update, you just gonna use this client. So this is like a middleman between the database and the schema, right? So it will handle all the communication between the database and schema. So this client will give us the data, right? Let's say this is the UI, our browser, right? Where you see all the data. This client gonna fetch the data and give you to your to the client, right? Basically, like to display in your browser, okay? So you have the data available, and that data you're gonna display, right? Or you're gonna insert, then this will take that inserted data, put inside this table. So this client has the information about this schema, right? And based on that schema, it will act or communicate with this database, okay? Okay, so let's go back, and so we got this now, right? Fine. Yeah, that is all we need for this, like setting up the Prisma. So let me push this code now. Git add, git commit -m, set up Prisma, right? And git push. Done. So now you can check also, right? Let's do one thing, okay? Npx Prisma Studio. You can run this command and you'll see the basically, okay, there is something error. So reload. So you can see now, right? Issue table. Look at this ID, title, description, status. If I click here, I mean when I add record, right? You're gonna see that when I add, you see that this is the ID. You have to add the title, description. This is status open, created ad, updated ad, right? Look at all that. So when I save, it's gonna insert something here, okay? But I'll just discard for now. So you can see the column now, right? And the data will be added in each row now, each row. fine. So the next thing is creating the API. Let's do the API, right? That will be the last one for today class. So in order to create API, and that is the next one, right? Let's see. So we creating issue model now. Okay, we have done this part. Now I will add some content here, right? Whatever, like let's say we have done that. Yeah, so I'll just add here the model and everything. Just a quote, right? What I just wrote for the model. Okay. Oh, the name. When I commit, I should use that creating issue model, but I just miss out. I added like installing the Prisma, right? Anyway, that's fine. Make sure every section you use this name, right? When you commit. Now building API. Let's do that. So add folder, right? API app API issues new and then route ts. Okay. So in app to create API, you must have the API folder. And inside, I'm going to create API for issues, right? Issues like that. So if you look at here, issues, and this is the view, right? But later I'm going to have the new page, okay? Like new, right? Folder, and that new folder gonna have page where I will add the form, like HTML form, okay, to insert the data, right? So I will call it new issue, right? New issue like that, or just call it, oh yeah, new issue. Here what I have an issue page, but this will be the new issue, right? So similarly in the API also I have issues, and then inside you're gonna have the new, and there I'm gonna add the route, right? Route.ts. So let's import next request. Remember during the express, right? We have request response. Same thing here. We call it next request and next response, right? Response. These are the objects. Okay. They are imported from next server, right? Next server. Okay. So you have function post, right? Like this, and call it request, and that will be next request. So why you call next request? Because this also does the type checking. Remember, this is the request parameter, right? Request response. So you need to, this request can have the type checking that is coming from next request object. Okay. And then you're gonna have the bracket, because function post, because you're gonna posting the data, right? So that's why you call the post method. So this function will be async. Add the async here, and export, right? Export. Okay, export function that is post. Now imagine you gonna fill out the form and submit, right? When you submit, that means you're gonna call this API. So your API, this, what is this API route, will be something like this. Let me just write here. API slash API slash basically issues slash new, right? New. When you call this, so it can have like still, right, localhost and all that. Localhost colon 3000. That's the route we are running, right? So this is the localhost 3000. Remember, this localhost 3000 is the app, right? You are inside the app, then go inside the folder API, then go inside issues and new, and there you're gonna find the route, right, which has this basically post method. So this, when you posting, it will automatically run this function. That's it. It will automatically run this function. So the thing is, you're gonna open the Postman, and then you're gonna fill out the form, for example, right? And you're gonna submit. Okay. So look at the let's look at this Prisma here, right? Prisma. Look at here. This is default. Only thing you need is title, description. That is all you need. Two things, right? Status, created ad, up. All these are default. Okay. Just need title and description. So const, let's call it body, right? Body equal to request.json, and that will automatically give you the data, right? It's gonna give you the data sent from the body, okay, from the front end. Now you will check if no body, right? Then return next response, okay, dot json, and you can pass here like error message like this and call it no data found, right? And then status also you can add here, comma, let's add another one, status, make it 400. Okay. So for example, now you have this, right? Okay, let's keep up to here, right? We're gonna continue with this API building in next class. Okay. But from here, remember last time we built the API to insert something from the Postman. Exact same thing you're gonna do. Basically, like we have this body, no body, right? But let's say you have the data. What you will do now? So you're gonna import the Prisma, because Prisma is the client which is gonna handle all our communication with the database. So const issue equal to Prisma dot issue. See, it has issue now. Dot create, right? And then inside here you're gonna pass the body, not body, but let's call it data, right? Like that. And then it's gonna have the title, that will be from body dot title, comma, and then description, right? It's gonna have body dot description. So the something is not correct, right? Okay, something is not correct. So we have body here, request. If nobody return this, create issue. So I have to make sure I use await. Oh, sorry. It cannot find because we did not await this. Why we need to put await, right? Because await, because only move to this line of code when this one is success. Await until you get the body, right? Then do check here, do the check. If no body, then return it, the error. If there is a body, then move to this one, creating, right? And then after that, yeah, so once you have this data, it will just create it, that data will be created in the database, and then just return it, return the answer, right? Like, okay, success, something. So next response dot json, and just pass the issue, right? And also status. Let's make it 201, that is success. Done. Okay, so this is just the basic API, right? We have not done the validation and all that. So next step is learning about the validation, which I said we have not done before, and we're gonna learn here. That will be a little bit like 1 class, 2 class for the validation. That will be the major, right? Okay, I mean we can test, right? You can test this API to the Postman. Okay, try that. For now, I will stop here, guys. Let me commit. So git add commit dash m and call it create API issue API, right? Let's create API. Okay, create create. What was the name? So building API, right? Fine. Let's put that one and git push. All right. Let me stop this.